Good morning, welcome. It's been a while since I did a live video in classroom. Okay, so you asked and you are now receiving a video for that picture of me as the Pope is ridiculous. It just kind of popped up on the screen over there. Anyway, back to this. So your test is tomorrow on Unit 3, but it's not all of Unit 3, it's just a part of Unit 3. So it's kind of, I would say, half of Unit 3. Let's go over the things we talked about on Tuesday, okay, because we did a lot on Tuesday. So I have a function up here, and it's a quadratic, obviously. And here is the quadratic function in vertex form, okay? So vertex form, again, is f of x, or y, equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, okay? A is going to typically be 1 here, but it might be another number, so just so you know that it could be another number there. X is just the regular x value. HK is this vertex. So h comma k is the vertex of the quadratic, or x comma y, right? It's just different letters. And hk is always either the minimum value of the quadratic or the maximum value of the quadratic. So it's an actual point. So it's an xy point. Here, because the quadratic opens up, because you know it's positive, because there's no negative in front here, it's going to have an absolute minimum value. And that minimum value is down here as a point. Now, when you see the graph, if you have a graph, you can typically just say, oh, well, there it is because I can point to it. Here, it looks like it's 4 comma negative 4. So the vertex is 4 comma negative 4, and I'll write it over here. Now, I think there's a little bit of clarification that we need to do. You're not always going to see the graph. I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to say, what's the vertex of the function? Now, instead of you actually going ahead and graphing that, because that'd be a nightmare, right? Look and see what hk is. Now, let's talk about k first. It's easier. The formula says it's plus k. So whatever the end number is with the sign in front, that's the y value. So this is a negative 4. It's a negative 4 as my vertex for the y value. So whatever is back here, if this was a plus 4, it would be plus 4. Because it's a plus built into the function, it doesn't matter what it is, minus or positive, doesn't matter. Okay, it's just going to be whatever this whole end thing is as your y value. Now the x value is a little bit trickier. There's a minus built in. So when it's a minus here, it matches, which means that it's just the number value as the vertex, x value. So for instance, because the negatives match, we only take the 4, and it's positive 4. But if this was a plus, that would mean that this h would have to been negative, so it would be a negative 4. Okay, so matching, just the number. Different, so if it's a plus, it's a negative. Okay, and we'll work on that a little bit more today, because I know that that's kind of confusing. So that's the vertex of this function. Axis of symmetry is the easiest thing to do. It is the x value of your vertex. But it is always a line, so we always have to write x equals. The axis of symmetry is a line, an imaginary line that cuts this function into 2 equal pieces. Okay, it's the symmetry line. So if I were to cut it right down the middle, right here, I'd be symmetrical on both sides. Kind of, not really. But that's the axis of symmetry. It's a line. It's the line of symmetry. Okay, standard form. This is also weird, but it's not that terribly difficult. To get to standard form, I'm taking the vertex form, and I'm only going to take what is squared, and I'm going to expand it, which means I'm just going to write that squared thing 2 times next to each other. So this is the quantity x minus 4. I'm writing the quantity x minus 4 twice. Okay, so this is going to be x minus 4 times x minus 4 minus 4. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, now I'm foiling. So x squared, I think in my first terms. My outside terms are negative 4x. My inner terms are also negative 4x. Please don't forget to do the last terms. So that's positive 16. And then you have to tag the bottom part of this, or the final piece of this to the end here. Okay? You should have 5 terms once you FOIL this thing out. Okay? Then I piece together the things that are the same. So combine like terms. X squared minus 8x. This is going to be a plus 12. This is the standard form quadratic equation of this vertex form. If I were to plug this into Desmos right now, it would be the exact same function because it is the function. It's just a different representation of that function. Now, here's the trickiest part. vertex from standard form. I'm not always going to give you vertex form and say, find the vertex. That's too simple, obviously. I need you to be able to give me the vertex if I give you a standard form quadratic. This is the negative b over 2a. So let's clarify things a little bit first. I need the vertex from this quadratic formula. I'm looking for an xy ordered pair, okay? I'm looking for a point. But instead of x comma y, I'm looking for negative b over 2a and the function's value at negative b over 2a. I know that's really confusing, so let's think about this. I'm just using the numbers that are provided to me in the quadratic to find x. When I find x, I'm going to plug it back into the function to find y. Okay? So let's work this out. I'm just going to kind of erase this. b is negative 8, but I need a negative b. So I'm going to make a negative 8, which is a positive 8. 2a, well, a is 1. It'll almost always be 1 here, but you may see something different, so it's going to be just 2. The x value is 8 over 2, which means the x value, if I go any lower, I think you'll see it hopefully. The x value is 4, but we already knew that because we were able to get the vertex from vertex form. I'm just showing you that it's the same thing. You're not going to be able to have to do this all the time. Now, I know the x value is 4. F of negative b over 2a means I need to plug in 4 every time I see these x's to find my y value, okay, or my function's value at x. So f of 4 is what I'm going to plug in here. So I'm going to erase this x, and I'm going to erase this x, and I'm going to put what in there? 4. I'm going to put 4 here, and I'm going to put 4 here. So this is going to be 16 minus 32 plus 12. Please go left to right. Okay, I had a bunch of people yesterday going and just picking what they wanted to do. If all of the signs or operations are the same in PEMDAS, you've got to go left to right. You can't go anything else. This is a negative 16 plus 12, so it's negative 4. But alas, we already knew that. We're just double checking ourselves here. Okay, so the vertex is negative 4 comma negative 4, but we already knew how to do that. All right. In some instances, this might be a little bit smoother to work with because if you have positive and negatives here, you might get confused. That's the stuff that we just talked about. Now, hopefully you can see over here. Things to know for the test other than this stuff, because that's all this stuff. You need to know how to FOIL, which obviously you would have had to know how to do that. You need to know how to solve a quadratic by the inspection method. Okay? So back to this stuff here. I don't know if this is going to work. X squared minus 3x plus 4. You need to be able to inspect this, get factors of 4 to make negative 3. Hope this works. So 4 and 1 are my factors because I can manipulate 4 and 1 to get to negative 3. That has to be a negative 4, and this has to be a positive 1. Okay? So you need to be able to factor. These are the factors of this quadratic. Okay? And then you need to tell me what the zeros of the quadratic are. So the only thing that makes this a 0 is 4, and the only thing that makes this a 0 is negative 1. So you have to do both those things. Please make sure you read the directions because I may ask you for the factors, but I might put answer choices that are zeros, right? So be careful. You need to be able to solve using the quadratic formula. Okay? Solve using the quadratic formula. That was weird. Okay, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. I think a lot of us are getting good with remembering that. You need to remember it. I do not believe that I'm providing it to you, but we'll see how things work out. Okay? Okay, that's the test. We'll do plenty of practice opportunities today. In fact, you have a practice test today, so hopefully that goes well for you. I'm going to bypass the review for the final because the test tomorrow is the most important thing. 20 questions, 18 questions, no constructor response. I'm going to try to make it really easy for you because I know I threw a lot of this on you, and to be honest with you, I really didn't do a good job of kind of doing things in logical order. I jumped around a lot, so hopefully today will be a nice, better, smooth experience for you. Okay? Study, do work. Thank you.